And no, this isn't a Wheelz of Fury video. Though we're going to be taking a little break from those. I don't think there's anything coming up anyways.
Yeah, there's not really anything coming up until September.
Yeah.
We got All Out September the 5th, and then Extreme Rules is after that.
Yes. So, now I didn't watch it unfortunately, but Dynamite was last night.
Yes.
And I thought a little bit of the CM Punk thing.
Yeah. The CM Punk thing was just basically, he was talking about his match. He's going to have a derby at All Out and talk about other people that, potentially have a match with. And touched on a few other things, but not really too much. And right near the end of the segment, he is like, I want to say hello to my wife, April, of course, AJ Lee. And I was on Twitter earlier today, and I seen a tweet from her, and it had this little snippet from the segment last night, and she goes, I wasn't expecting my government name to be used. He thought she would, refer to her as like AJ or AJ Lee, but he referred to her as April, which is her actual name. It's like
April Mendez Brooks.
Well, April Jeanette Lee Mendez Brooks.
Yes.
Really long name, but yeah.
Yeah.
And had a 6-man tag match with members of the Factory. Was Nick Camarado, QT Marshall, and can't remember the other guy's name. And they took on the Gun Club. And of course, they had Paul Wyatt on commentary. And of course, Paul's going to have a match at All Out against QT. And it was a fairly good 6-man match. And yeah, it was a lot of talk about the match with QT and Paul at All Out. And the Gun Club ended up getting the win. And then, start off the night, you had Orange Cassidy against Matt Hardy. Fairly good match. At some point in the match, not exactly sure what happened, but they showed a close-up of Matt's face and he was covered in blood. Like he was just gushing. I was like, To me, it looked like maybe his nose got broken.
Yeah.
Not 100% sure, but that's what it looked like. How it happened, don't know.
Right.
Had a backstage segment with Tay Conti.
Oh, nice.
And hadn't seen her in a while, and for All Out, they're gonna have a women's casino battle royal. Winner gets a shot at Britt Baker for the championship, and the Bunny comes in, and she's like, why are you still hanging out with those losers, They can't even get along. And she's like, well, why don't you join the HFO? And hands her like a contract. Tay just takes it, rips, and it's like, no. And then, of course, Bonnie slaps her and they start going at each other. So that is gonna lead to a match with Tay Conti and the Bonnie tomorrow night at Rampage. You also had Jericho come out, and he was talking about his loss to MJF last week, and he was like, I've had this thought in my head that I can't get rid of. Beat MJF. He's got that just constant voice in his head. Beat MJF, and 3 times they've had a match against each other, and MJF has beat them.
Yeah.
And so Jericho was like, alright, I want one more match with you at All Out. But if you beat me, I won't wrestle again in AEW. I'll go do commentary for Rampage, but I won't wrestle again. And it's like, okay, that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, there's rumors about Jericho leaving leaving the ring, I guess.
Yeah. And I mean, the man's been doing it for 30 years. The man's been in the business for 30 years. So maybe he's decided to set aside being in the ring and, focus on another role with AEW. He can for sure be a leader to the young talent in the locker room, whatever. And I mean, I'm sure he will still do stuff regarding Inner Circle.
Yeah.
So, who knows how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
You had a little segment again with Dax Wheeler of FTR and, talking about again what happened in the last match with Santana and Ortiz, and of course FTR and the Cash
Killer.
would get his arm on
Yeah.
the hook of the ring post, and it's like, okay, like at some point they're gonna have another match. Well, as they're talking with Dax, and he comes, he's got his forearm wrapped up, it's like, okay, he's back. And then they said they're gonna have another match at Rampage, I believe. So FTR and Santana and Ortiz are gonna have another match. We also had a match with Velvet and what's her name? She is aligned herself with Brett Baker.
Oh, Reba? Or no. Oh, yeah, no, I know what you're
No, not
talking
Reba,
about.
the other girl. Anyway, they had a match, and the other girl won. And you had a match for the number 1 contender to the tag titles was Lucha Brothers against... Jesus Christ, it's just last night. Anyways, Lucha Brothers ended up winning. So the finals is going to be Lucha Brothers against Jurassic Express. Of course, you had Nick and Matt and Brandon Cutler. They're all watching on the stage. And you had, after Lucha Brothers won, it's like, alright, you have Jurassic Express and Lucha Brothers in the ring face to face. Like, alright, there's your finals. In come Nick and Matt from behind, push Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy into Phoenix and Pentagon, and it looks like things are about to come to blows, and it's like, hey man, we didn't do anything, it was them. And so you had Luchasaurus and Penta kick Nick and Matt off the apron, and had Phoenix and Jungle Boy dive through the ropes onto Nick and Matt. And so it's like, alright, that's for sure going to be a good match with Lucha Brothers and Jurassic Express. And then of course whoever wins gets to start the tag titles. I mean, Matt and I both have talked about how Lucha Brothers and Jurassic Express, both teams definitely deserve a shot at the tag titles. So it's going to be real interesting to see who wins the kind of tournament final, if you will, and then go on to face Young Bucks for the tag titles. You had a segment with Kenny Omega and Christian, and of course it was like last week had Don Callis saying that he was the one that was responsible for, you know, giving Christian his first start in wrestling, and then they showed little snippets of Christian way before WWE, and
Oh wow.
the guy that ran the promotion at the time, and talked about Pac and Andrade coming up. It was a lot of, you know, continuing hype up All Out, and I think it pretty much covered everything from last night.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't watch it, but I already talked about CM Punk's first appearance on Rampage, and it's kind of like, you know, I'm very, like, thinking that he's still bitter, obviously, about leaving WWE, and
With the way things went down, I fucking would be too.
well, that's fine and good. And I understand that, I completely understand that.
Like, I in one essence, it's like, okay, that was 7 years ago, you know, so just move on. But, like, you know, when you literally get fired
Yeah.
from your job, like the day you're going to get married, you know, you'd be bitter and resentful for a long time too.
Yeah, no, I get that. And, yeah. Vince is like, oh, you didn't, yeah, you did. I don't give a fuck what you think. You know, and it's a wonder why I still watch the product, but anyways.
And, like, it was Vince and even Triple H both said when they were the first two guests on Stone Cold Podcast, and, you know, they both said they would be open to working with Punk again, would love to work with Punk and what have you, but, like, with him being so bitter towards the business, like WWE, for that.
Yeah. It needs to be a lot of convincing, I think.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing about it too is, like, if he did forgive and forget, let's say, I don't know if he would have been interested in going back to WWE, or would he say AEW didn't even exist, and he decided, you know what, I want to wrestle again, I want to get back in the business, you know, would he have maybe, let's say, went to Impact? Would he have maybe went back to Ring of Honor? Would he have decided, you know what, I'm going to go New Japan, or, you know, wrestle maybe for Mexico? Who knows? But, you know, with AEW having been around now for 2 years, well, almost 2 years, and, you know, he finally decided, you know what, it's been 7 years, I want to, you know, get into wrestling again, I want to get back in the business, I want to get back in the ring and compete. And, like, one thing that he really is emphasizing on is the fact that, like, there is a lot of new blood, if you will, that he could be in the ring with. Your Darby Allin, your Orange Cassidy, your Young Bucks, your Lucha Brothers, your, you know, a long list of people that he could have a match with. And now he's going to have a match with Darby Allin at All Out, and we'll see what happens from there, where it goes from there. And he was even like, you know, I need to do this match with Darby to prove to myself that, you know, I am still the best, and I'm still the best in the world, and I can still, you know, hang, and I can still go, and all this other stuff. So that'll be definitely something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dynamite as a whole was actually a really, really good show. A lot of build-up, continuing for All Out, and then some matches made for tomorrow's Rampage. And yeah, it was really, really good show.
Very good. I guess before we get out of here, I do want to, because I made a video about it, my review about it. I just thought I would get your thoughts on SummerSlam and NXT UK, because we did watch it too. I mean, we did a play-by-play for NXT Takeover, but
Yeah.
your thoughts on SummerSlam?
I watched the play-by-play, and the camera work wasn't the greatest, but, work in progress. As far as SummerSlam and TakeOver 36 is concerned, TakeOver 36, that delivered for sure.
Yes.
Walter and Ilya Dragunov was epic. The match with Kyle and Adam was really, really good. The match with Raquel and Dakota, really well done. The whole show in and of itself is very, very good. And, when Matt and I did our SummerSlam predictions, we undersold it. Like, we really didn't have too high expectations going into SummerSlam. And SummerSlam actually really delivered.
Yes, it did.
Now, a lot of people may have a polarizing opinion of Brock coming back at SummerSlam, and it's like, okay, I don't see it as a bad thing. It'll be interesting to see what happens with him. I had heard some people talk about him most likely having involvement for Crown Jewel. What involvement that will be, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
They'll eventually work up to something with Brock and Roman, and then, Goldberg, I think, will probably be in there about at some point. But yeah, and then, Becky Lynch coming back, that was a really cool moment, and, like I was saying to Matt, and I even said last night, or yesterday when we did our Facebook Live, there was a lot of people upset with Becky Lynch, how she won the SmackDown Women's Championship. And it's like, okay, I do see their point. Okay, great, Becky's back. She replaced Sasha in the match with Bianca at SummerSlam. Okay, cool, fine, whatever. You got Becky as champion again. She, didn't lose the championship before she left WWE. She quote unquote relinquished it to Asuka. Then, you bring her back and you throw a strap on her. SmackDown Women's Champion. That's fine. I don't have a problem with that. Do you think maybe could have at least had... It didn't have to be a fairly long match, but, have some length to it instead of, 2 minutes, if that?
That's why I think, honestly, Bianca must have pissed off somebody in the office, because there is no fucking way she should have lost in a matter of seconds. I mean, first of all, when you had Bianca Belair come out, they said, well, Sasha Banks can't make it. here's Carmella. Carmella comes out. Then, of course, Becky makes her surprise return.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the audience is like cheering and
Losing their shit.
big ovation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and so Becky gets on the mic and says, how about we have the EST versus the man? Bing, bong, boom. The match starts, and then the match ends.
Yeah. It took longer to get to the match itself than the match actually lasted. Like Bianca comes out, they announce Sasha isn't there. You know, bring out Carmella, and it's like, okay, Bianca versus Carmella, whatever. And then, you know, Becky's music hits, she comes out, and of course, one thing that I'm honestly shocked about, Matt not mentioning, shame on you, no, just kidding, is the Allegiant Stadium had a fairly long entranceway.
That's right. I forgot to mention. I'm a big mark for huge stadium arenas. And kudos to WWE for finally having a Big Four pay-per-view in a fucking stadium.
Yeah.
I mean, you had the Raymond James Stadium.
Yeah.
You know, that's when they were starting to get their shit together and, you know, of the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
They could take precautions.
Yeah.
Sunday night was the first time in, I want to say, I don't even know. I think since I'm probably pushing at WrestleMania 19. I don't know. Actually, sorry, no. 2019 Royal Rumble.
Yeah. At
Minute Maid Center.
yeah, I think it was Minute Maid Park area.
Yeah. And it was like really refreshing to see that. To see that SummerSlam was a big fucking deal.
Yeah.
And I know there were some people that said, oh, there was way too many skits. Okay, wait.
No, there wasn't.
Exactly.
Yeah, you had the bit with Miz and Morrison and Xavier Woods, you know, doing his best Razor Ramon impression.
Yeah.
But other than that, there wasn't really that many skits.
You know, you had celebrities like Mario Lopez
Oh,
with his
yeah.
grandpa arms, and then fucking, what's her name? I can't remember.
Yeah.
And so it's like, yeah, this was very decent. And you want to look at back at the day when you had vignettes from Mr. Fuji and Don Morocco.
Yeah.
Shit like that. So, I mean, when you think about sports entertainment, yeah, I've definitely harped on that a lot. You know, this right there is sports entertainment. I think baseball is can be pretty entertaining. I'm not a fan, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
the Jays are winning, so
Yeah.
regardless, that's what the entertainment aspect of it is. When you watch Ilya Dragunov versus Falter, that is professional wrestling. You know, you can have both in one world. I don't like the fact that they say sports entertainment or sports entertainers. That shit sucks, but that's why they call it that.
Yeah. Becky comes out, he's all excited and happy to be back, and high-fiving fans and whatever. Gets in the ring, takes out Carmella. Like, okay, interesting. Then, you know, it's like, alright, why not have the ST against the man? Bell rings. 1, 2, bell rings again. It's like, okay, that could have gone longer.
Yeah.
Although, maybe they didn't want to have it go too long, because, you know, you still it was at that point, you still had friggin', you know, Goldberg and Bobby, and then Roman and Cena, but, you know, I digress.
Well, actually, just one thing I had thought about just now. They could have had a triple threat.
Yeah.
You know?
And at first I initially thought that's what was going to happen. Becky would be like, well, you know, when I left 16 months ago, I was a champion and I never lost. But now I'm back and I want a championship again, so you guys are going to go at it. I want to be in the match too.
Yeah.
And then instead she beats up Carmella, which I was honestly expecting, you know, a lot more, well, considerably more of a beatdown of Carmella than what there was, but, you know, whatever. And then, you know, Becky claims SmackDown Women's Championship. Which again, you know, I don't really care about. I'm not disappointed in it, you know. Becky's champion again, that's great. The length of time the match was fairly disappointing, but, you know.
Yeah.
It was what it was.
Right. So, there's one thing I forgot to mention. I don't know if we did or not, but when CM Punk did his interview, the crowd chanting yes, yes, and he's like, oh, don't worry, be patient, we're waiting for him.
Yeah, yeah.
So it seems that obviously Bryan Danielson will make his debut, the American Dragon.
Yeah, he's gonna be on AEW at some point. I'd say within probably the next month or so.
Yeah. It's funny how a lot of WWE wrestlers are now going to other promotions, obviously because they were laid off. I mean, Wyndham Rotunda is going to go on Impact. I'm not quite sure when.
Yeah.
That's the rumor.
There's been quite a few released WWE stars that, you know, went to AEW. Andrade. He's kind of the one I can. You're really the only one I can think of offhand.
Yeah.
Now with Adam Cole leaving WWE and NXT, there's talk of him going to AEW.
Yeah.
Will he? For sure. Maybe we'll have to see. Bray Wyatt going to Impact. That'll be interesting. Because they could maybe continue The Fiend.
That's possible.
And do a better job with it.
Yeah.
But, you know, who knows?
Well, and I mean, that's the thing, too. Eric Young was right. You know, the basically company is slowly failing. I don't know if I believe that 100%, like I said in our Facebook chat last night.
Yeah.
A lot of bad you could say about WWE, they also do a lot of good.
And see, that's the thing. For a lot of bad things you can say about WWE, there was a lot of good you could say about WWE.
Mm-hmm.
It was about 50-50.
Yeah.
Nowadays, it seems more like there's the negatives outweigh the positives, but I mean, you know, it's not 100%, you know, I hate this company, I hate what they're doing, it's shit, it fucking sucks, I'm not gonna watch it anymore. Some people have gotten to that point.
Yeah.
But, you know, whatever. Now, the one good thing, you know, we've talked about quite a few times, that came out of WWE within the last, call it 2 years, 2 to 3 years, was the Thunderdome.
Yes.
And, you know, several of the matches that they did during the pandemic, whether it been the Swamp Fight, or Boneyard match, or, you know, whatever else. And then there are some things that were really, really good, or really, really bad.
Mm-hmm.
it just seems to be such a shame that, coming out of another lengthy lockdown, things picking up and having fans attend the show again, they go and release a shit ton of wrestlers.
Yeah.
So,
Well, yeah, 2020, a lot of them left. A few of them came back. But this year, a few of them did come back. Now, with Braun Strowman, I don't know if that'll ever happen again, but never say never.
yeah.
I think a lot of the things that people complain about with WWE, which is complete shit because look at AEW. And age is just a number, but it seems like, oh, WWE, they only have like dinosaurs and, people who are older. Look at your WWE champion. He's in his 40s, and it's like, you had Lance Archer, who's in his 40s, be the TNT champion, and he's been your IWGP US champion, so...
Yeah, you can shit on, quote-unquote, these dinosaurs in WWE. Well, I also believe, right now, a lot of the talent, well, not maybe not a lot, there's a fair number of the talent in WWE right now that are in their 40s.
Exactly, right.
Okay, talk about Bobby Lashley, he's within his 40s, I'll say, late 30s, early 40s, you got AJ Styles, you've got, I'd say Randy Orton's up there.
Yeah, Randy Orton just turned 41.
Yeah,
so...
41. You got Goldberg, he's in mid-50s, so there's that.
You have like...
Brock is mid-40s.
Yeah.
So,
if you want to say, oh, well, they're all younger talent in WWE, yeah, go with Alexa Bliss, Mustafa Ali, or, Mansoor.
Riddle.
Well, it's kind of up there with Randy.
Yeah. Yeah, Alexa Bliss, Mustafa Ali, Mansoor.
Sasha Banks.
Sasha Banks.
Well.
Yeah.
But there's still a lot of young talent in WWE. And, it's like I said to somebody the other day, it's like, when we were kids, it seems like your champions, if you will, were in their 30s, 20s, 30s.
Yeah.
Now it just seems that they're a lot younger, or a lot older, and a little bit more mature and been in the business a long time. And sometimes it takes a long time for you to be a champion, a decade or whatever.
Just as much as you want to talk about, these dinosaurs in WWE, okay, yes, to Matt's point, you have Archer, 40s, you got Jericho, that's 50, you got Dustin, that's 50s, you got, okay, not necessarily wrestling-wise, but you got Arn Anderson, Tully Blanchard, Jake Roberts that are 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
So
Sting,
yes.
So if you want to talk, age and shit, AEW just has as much. And I think that, and I'm all for nostalgia, but when you have people like Brock Lesnar or Bill Goldberg come back, I said that Bill Goldberg was the shits in the ring, and SummerSlam proved that. But they do have new talent. Just look at NXT.
Yeah.
As far as Adam Cole, I've heard rumors. I heard rumors of him going to AEW, obviously, but there's also, he will go to Raw. They could do a lot with him there. What they can do, I don't know. By the way, what the fuck did they do to Karrion Kross?
Yeah, I know, okay, they had him debut on Raw a few weeks ago, and he was still wearing his kind of gladiator-esque attire.
Okay.
Like he had, like his trunks had like they weren't like regular trunks, they had like the leather. And then, so he's going back and forth between Raw and NXT, loses the title to Joe at TakeOver 36, and has a match this past Monday on Raw, and he's got like these shoulder straps, and he's wearing a mask, and it's like, is this what they were planning for Cross all along, and they were just waiting for him to drop the title?
Yeah. Well, it's like I said before, if they go to Raw or SmackDown, you can bet your ass they're gonna fuck with your character.
What was Cross's character initially anyway?
Exactly, I don't know.
In NXT, he was his ass-kicking machine, which is fine, but like, character, not really that much of a character.
No, I mean, it was basically like his Impact run, in a way.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this new gimmick, if you will, with the helmet, I immediately thought of the Sultan, but at least Rikishi took his helmet off to wrestle.
Yeah. Well, yes and no, because he did take off the helmet to wrestle, but he also had that mask.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
So, at least with Cross, it's just the helmet, but, we'll see where it goes in the future, but,
yeah.
Bizarre to say the least.
Yeah, I mean, 10 years ago, you wouldn't think of this shit.
No.
You would never see Adam Cole or Red Dragon or Roderick Strong in WWE.
True.
Or Keith Lee or Karrion Kross. It's just kind of like trying to open up a new world, but yet who knows how long they plan to stay there.
Yeah.
I was talking with a friend of mine, and he said, why didn't they push Keith Lee for the title? Well, Keith Lee has had COVID, so...
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and then I heard that he almost died.
Yeah.
But now he's back, I don't know what they're going to do with him.
Right, yeah.
There's always going to be that wrestler that never gets a shot.
Yeah.
Big Boss Man. Well, actually, no, that's not true. He had the tag team titles in the later years.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, so... I have no idea, to be honest with you.
Like, back on the subject of, like, older wrestlers in AEW and WWE. Okay, yeah, in WWE there are considerably more older guys active in WWE than there is AEW, but there is an even mix of, in my opinion, an even mix of your veteran talent and your younger talent.
Oh yeah. And when he watched NXT, Ted DiBiase did have a couple shots in.
Yeah, it wasn't going to be anything too crazy, but he got a few shots. And I mean, you even go back to the 6-man tag match. It was FTR and Tully Blanchard against, I think it was Jurassic Express.
Oh shit, now I have to see that.
And Tully, he didn't really do a whole lot, but he took some shots, he got some shots in. So, and like I said, Tully's, I'd say, probably mid-50s-ish. So, I mean...
yeah. I mean, you look at Ric Flair at AAA Mania.
Yeah.
Fuck, he could still do a figure four. Never thought he could do that.
Still doing the figure four at 72, 73 years old.
So, I mean... you don't want to see them do it all the time, but...
No.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's about it, I think.
Yeah.
We'll be back for Wheelz of Fury, the return, in a week or so.
Yeah.
You know, we gotta think of more ideas than just doing pay-per-views, but
Yeah, we'll come up with something.
like I know we have plans for the future, but anyways, yeah, so
Yeah, there's quite a few things coming up though. You got All Out, you've got Extreme Rules, you've got Crown Jewel.
yeah.
So
Yeah, so for Coda Kyle, this is me, Matt, and we'll talk to you next time.
see ya.
See you later.
So you know that them cutting WCW was a long time coming. But I think that there's this myth out there that Jamie Keller
Gnarly.
that's why he took pleasure in cutting WCW. I don't think that's the case at all. Because if you look at some of his earlier interviews, like